Welcome to part 2 of Government Geek. This week we're discussing state and local governments. If you missed part 1, please listen to last week's episode first.
Okay, so let's stay at the state level. We've gone local.
Yep.
We went regional. We went to the county. Now we're at the state level.
Yeah.
Who do we have at the state level? We've got elected, right?
Yep. We have
elected officials.
We have elected officials. So maybe most people may not be aware that we have representative and senator at the state level. So Michelle Tasca is our local elected representative, and Senator Steve Wilson is our local state representative or state senator.
Okay.
Each state senator has 3 representatives that are assigned to them, and they work cooperatively. Warren County is actually broken into 2, but Michelle Tasca is our state representative, and State Senator Wilson is also our representative.
Okay, so the state representatives have territories?
Yes.
That are, you said there's how many for the state? Or just 2 in Warren County is what you...
There's 2 in Warren County, but 88 counties, and they're all broken up by different representatives and senators.
Okay, all right. So what do those people do, and why do we need to contact those people? And when is it right to contact those people? Yeah,
great question. I think they all like to be contacted and to know what's going on. I have found both Senator Wilson and Rep. Tasca to be extremely available. Anytime that myself or our elected officials have reached out to them, they have answered the call. I know that Rep. Tasca has multiple conversations with our mayor centers quite frequently. My former role in the fire chief organization, I was very involved at the state legislature, so I have those relationships. And to be able to make those phone calls, send a text, send an email, and get an immediate response really is so invaluable. I don't think people really recognize. Believe it or not, we actually have relationships with staff members from the governor's office. So when you have the ability to talk to our representatives or to the governor directly, or to the different cabinet members of the state government, and having the ability to reach out and make those connections, they know who we are. They know what's happening in our downtown. They know our Main Street. They know there are riverfront plans. They know the infrastructure investments that are going on. The ability to talk to the director of Ohio EPA to help with funding or reporting issues. Those relationships are how government gets done. And I started off by saying some people might find it hard to believe, but government actually does work. Yeah. And we have wonderful people that are committed to seeing this through, that have the right relationships, and they understand that we have a plan, and they have a vested interest in helping us achieve that plan. Sure. That is how this is going to end up happening.
So how do we, so if our representatives and our senators are with the state, the governor's the governor, right? He's in charge of the state. How do those 3 things work together? And as a regular citizen, what do I need to know with that statewide relationship?
Yeah. So your representatives, your direct representatives, Rep. Tasca, Senator Wilson, those are your main points of contact. Okay. Certainly anybody can reach out to the governor's office, but the governor is the executive side of the world. And so he leads the budget process, legislative initiatives. He has the ability to do line item vetoes and pass laws and all those kinds of things. I don't want to say that there isn't a direct relationship there, but the ability to have that point of contact and that connection, that's really through Rep. Tasca and Senator Wilson's where you're going to have the most direct impact.
Okay. All right. So one more step then to the feds.
Yeah.
let's go to the federal government now. Yeah. So what do I need to know from a city of Franklin standpoint about the federal government? How do they impact my life, and what do I need to know there?
Yeah, so great question. And this is where I think a lot of the ire and frustration exists with the general population. And that kind of trickles down and, hey, we're from the government, we're here to help. That actually is very true at the local level. And I think that's true at all level, but the reality is it's just so much more watered down, right? It is so much more difficult to get your voice heard when you are one of hundreds of thousands
Sure.
or even millions, as opposed to at the local level where you can make a phone call and talk to the mayor or
Yes.
the city manager or the police or fire chief
Sure.
and actually get to the bottom of whatever your question or concern might be.
Right. Okay. So, so as a citizen, why do I ever need to call the federal government versus my local government?
Yeah, so there are certainly differences, and there are reasons why you would need to call the federal government.
Okay.
Our local representative is Congressman Greg Landsman.
Okay.
I will tell you that I have found Congressman Landsman to be extremely accessible.
Okay.
He is very helpful as far as terms of veterans benefits, Social Security. There's a number of different issues, passports. There are a number of issues that he and his staff are able to assist with.
Okay.
Those folks I have found to be the most responsive in my entire time working in public service right now.
That's
I
impressive.
think we are very blessed to have these folks, and I find them to be very amenable. They have come and hosted town halls here. I think we're in the works to have another town hall with Congressman Landsman here in the very near future.
Sure.
So we will make sure that that's made available and known to everybody so that they have an opportunity to come meet Greg as well. But ultimately, then you have the two senators. You have Senator Moreno and you have Senator Husted.
Okay.
Those folks, even for me, are very difficult to get a hold of,
Sure.
right?
But
Because
they're generally helping us get grants and
That's it.
do big economic development pushes and the different types of programming and things that you're trying to get done in Franklin.
100%.
Right? I mean,
and they're two people
Yeah.
representing the entire state.
Right. Okay.
And they ultimately have to interact at the federal level with their own committee appointments and
Right.
their other responsibilities as well. So
okay. But not a lot of reason for a general person to call either one of those people.
not directly.
Yeah.
If there is something, certainly they can reach us and we can help put them in touch with
Yep.
staff members and
Okay.
staff liaisons that we
Okay.
have a very strong relationship with. I interact with both of our state Senate representative staff members on a weekly basis. So I think people would be surprised to know how often that dialogue actually does occur. But it's important. In every year we participate in what's called a Warren County fly-in. We
Right.
go up to Washington, D.C., have an opportunity to meet with their staff in person. And when they're in the district, they come down and visit us as well. So
Right. Okay.
those are all very important pieces
Sure.
to good governance.
Okay. And we'd be remiss without saying that the FBI, federal law enforcement,
Yeah.
right? The only reason we ever need to call them is if there's a problem with the local government because they actually police the local government people, elected officials,
Yeah.
and also the police.
Yeah.
So that, I guess we could go and say, just as a clarification, anything else I missed on that one? I hope no one ever has a reason to call the
Hopefully
FBI.
there's
but,
no
you
bank
know,
robberies or
yeah.
anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah, sure.
You know,
Then
those
there's
kinds
that.
of things.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I feel like we are doing a very good job right now, especially of listening and proactively doing our jobs.
Yeah.
Right. And we have all of the right people in the right spots. And there isn't a single person that I have any hesitancy or concern about who's not here for the right reason.
Yeah.
Every single person here is here to serve this community, and our focus is what can we do to make the lives of our residents and ultimately council's constituents better, improved. How do we take advantage of the opportunities that are before us? How can we be intentional about making decisions that are moving the us closer to the ultimate finish line
Yeah.
every single day and every opportunity that is presented before us.
Yep. Okay, so we made it all the way through local, regional, state, federal. Now let's go back to some of those. They're local, right? They're very specific to Franklin, but they require a little bit more explanation. They're not elected officials, so this
Yeah.
is something completely different. So we're talking about zoning. How does zoning work? How does planning commission work? When do I need to get permits and where do I go? And what's the BZ? What even is the BZA? I mean,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about how those processes work, because those are those are government.
It is government in real life.
There's just a different, that those are processes within the government.
Correct.
So let's go a little bit back to local before we wrap up and say, how do those things work and how do they affect me as a Franklin citizen?
Yeah, I think it's really important that people understand that even administratively, there are things that we don't get to decide.
Okay.
Because ultimately,
we meaning the city, we
meaning administrative staff.
Okay.
So number one, anytime you are linking to start a business, build an addition, decks, all of those things, please always call the city. Call us first.
Yep.
There are times when permits are not needed, but it's rare.
Yep.
Most of the time, permits are required.
Why?
Because ultimately, because the law says so. So council has put into place what's called the Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO.
Okay.
The UDO specifies what can go where. That is what typically people call zoning.
Okay.
What type of businesses can go in what zones?
Right.
What are the setback requirements for an addition?
Okay.
Or what are the sign requirements? What is actually a sign?
Right.
All of these things are dictated by our codes, which are law. And I think what people understand is that I just have a magic wand and I can wave and say, oh, this doesn't apply. That's not the case. I am actually statutorily mandated to follow these laws. And part of my role and responsibility is making sure that we actually do that.
Sure.
And so council has appointed two different groups, the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay.
All right. Now, for the most part, the way our laws are set up, now this isn't identical in every community. Each community passes their own laws, so it's a little bit unique for us. For the most part, our BZA commission, which
is what? What does that stand for? Are you saying
Board of Zoning Appeals?
Okay.
So our BZA commission, they are appointed by council. They are residents. They are not elected. They are not staff members.
They're not politicians.
They're not politicians.
Okay.
They are individuals from the community that understand that they have a civic responsibility and role and want to perform that role to help the community.
Okay.
But they are the ones they're a quasi-judicial board. They call balls and strikes. It's a very black and white world for them.
Okay.
The board, the law says this,
the law.
And a property maintenance inspector or whatever the case says, we don't think this is applying.
Okay.
So that individual, that is the right for them to appeal that decision. They can go before that board, make their case. The city staff will respond, they compare that to the law, and then the BZA will make that determination.
So the reality is, just if I'm hearing you right, if, let's say I wanted to put a pool in, didn't get a permit, didn't pay attention to the setbacks, didn't pay attention to if I was allowed to do that, I'm actually breaking the law.
Correct.
If I just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it sounds a little harsh, but yes.
But it is. You're breaking the law. It's an actual law for a reason. Okay. All right. And so then what about Planning Commission? That's a whole different ball game?
So Planning Commission is a little bit different. Planning Commission I kind of view Planning Commission as a step above BZA. So BZA is black and white. Yes, no. It fits, it doesn't fit.
Okay.
Period. The end.
Yep.
Planning Commission is also representatives appointed by the community.
Okay.
But it also has two elected members of council.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
So one of the members by charter is the mayor.
All right.
The mayor is automatically a part of the Planning Commission forever and always.
Okay.
Right. The other member of council is appointed by council.
All right.
Currently, that's Mayor Brent Centers and Paul Rupert.
Okay.
Okay. So every year, council makes those appointments and somebody is appointed to that. And then we have citizens that make up the other 5 seats of that. So there's 7 members total.
Okay.
Okay. And so those, the reason that council is involved in that is because from an elected perspective, they don't have a majority, but they do want to have a say to what is the future of the city and what is the direction the city is going.
Well, you guys have a master plan. You've done all this work to put all these things together. So you just want to make sure that Planning Commission is being realistic to those master plans.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
100%.
Okay.
And so they don't have a majority say, but they do have the influence and they are able to provide council's perspective back to Planning Commission because there is a deliberation period that goes on when those hearings are being held.
Okay.
And so They are a subject matter expert that is providing information to those other commission members to understand how does this all work? Why is this a good idea? Why is this maybe not a good idea? And ultimately, they make an independent decision.
Okay.
Now, sometimes Planning Commission makes a binding decision, and sometimes those decisions become recommendations to council.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And so again, this is why I always encourage people to call the city, let us walk you through this process, because there is no one circumstance that is applicable in all ways.
And this happens a lot with the developments, right?
Correct.
And the different things, especially with what you're trying to do. Planning Commission has to decide, yes, we think this is a good fit, or we don't. They might say to council, we think you should vote for this or you shouldn't. So there's some controls that way.
Correct.
And also some growth opportunities that way, right?
Correct.
Maybe something you didn't see, and that it becomes to light, and it's very obvious that something Franklin should do. So they're able to move forward with that.
100%.
Okay.
And the UDO contemplates as much as it can, but it is not a perfect document.
Sure.
It is a living document. It is something that has to change over time. UDO, Unified Development Ordinance.
Okay.
The zoning code.
The zoning
what most
code.
people
All right.
kind of refer
Okay.
to.
Yep.
But the reality is technologies change.
Sure.
Business uses change.
Absolutely.
And so no matter how proactive we try to be, there are things that are going to show up. And the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance, they actually identify really 3 levels. Prohibited, meaning it's not allowed.
Not.
Permitted, which means yes, it's allowed. It goes straight through.
Red light, green light.
And then conditional. That's kind of the yellow, right?
Oh, yep.
Maybe not, right? And those maybe nots are set up that way for a couple of different reasons. Sometimes it's maybe not because maybe we have too much of this one type of use already.
Okay.
So it doesn't really make a fit. Right?
Yep.
So I'll use gas stations as a perfect example.
Good example.
We all hear, nobody wants any more gas stations, right? There's so many gas stations. Why do we need any more gas stations? Well, the challenge and the balance that has to happen here is that there are property owners that would like to sell their property, and some of the highest dollars you can get for a property owner is a gas station.
Yes.
Right? Now, I will say that from a city's perspective, gas stations have changed.
They have.
They are no longer just a gas station.
Yes, they're.
Now you have things like Sheetz, which is a quick service restaurant. It's a convenience store.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, they sell gas. And in the Sheetz example, the gas is really the third thing in their order of priorities.
And they're clean, man. Yeah, let's not even talk about Buc-ee's.
Yeah, right. So you have to have that flexibility in order to be responsive to the market, to serve the needs of the community, but also understand that, Sheetz entering the market did exactly what we kind of thought that it would, which is challenge the existing remaining gas stations
to be better,
to improve.
Step up the game.
Correct.
That's right. Okay, last question, local government. How do you get policed? How do we keep you honest? What happens every year that people come in and how do we know you're doing what you say you're doing?
Yeah, I think...
What happens with that?
I think the big issue probably is, I'm guessing you're talking about financially, from a fiscal perspective.
I think that's what a lot of people care about is what are the finances.
Yeah, and I think we get a lot of questions about that. We have a lot of people that, say the local government needs a Doge and, kind of all of this oversight. And I think what people fail to realize is because we are a local level of government, there is a level of accessibility, transparency, and accountability that does not exist at the federal level, could never exist at the federal level, right? And because of that, we're of the size where we have an annual audit. The state comes in and performs an audit. Our finance director that has come on board here, we are now a multi-year award-winning clean audit recipient.
Wow.
PAFRs, all the extra steps that we kind of go into to provide transparency. I have on multiple occasions, I know the mayor has done this as well. We have offered individuals who have questions to come in, sit down, and we will go through those books with them and guide them through that process. The information is available on our website. I don't know what else we could possibly do to be any more transparent other than offering to sit down with the finance director and go page by page if need be.
Line by line, yeah.
But that's the reality of the situation. These are all local dollars, and we are accountable to that. There is nothing here to hide.
Yeah.
We're a lean, mean organization, like I said before, right? And so we have very few dollars available to us. And again, I like that constraint because it causes us to be
better,
creative.
Yeah.
Right? How can we work with other entities? How can we join together with other initiatives? Or how can we do this one expenditure that hits improvements on 3 or 4 different areas?
Right. Well, I guess it is no surprise that you have many answers to government questions. And I thank everybody for tuning in this week to Frankly Franklin with self-admitted government geek.
Government geek. That's it.
Jonathan Westendorf. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.